we got a new textbook, like we adopted, which I'm excited about because it's so much better. But I've yet to see a textbook with decent instructor materials. I swear, like everything has to be created from scratch because they just stink. So yeah, for 16 years. So
I know. I think we'll all be glad when Christmas Day arrives.
Yes.
Yeah. Lee, there's Lee Kelly, another student. Hi, Lee. Good afternoon or good evening.
How you doing, John? The car.
Thanks for joining. Apologies if the line is a little bit wonky at the moment because it's probably my broadband off the Mac because I'm out at the moment. But I think everybody's now hearing clearly. We might have another one or two, but Rita, do you think we should start just to get going?
I think we could. Yeah, it's just coming up to. How many were you expecting, John?
I had about 12 students. I know one or two, they're all under a tiny bit of pressure with exams as well. And some of them said they would join us for the first out meeting on, I think, Jennifer, it's somewhere around the 22nd of January. I might be incorrect. I don't have my file to hand. So some already emailed me that, and I said, that's absolutely fine. I understand the exam pressure. So, I mean, this is recorded, so I can post this onto my Moodle page later. So anybody that wants to access it, that missed it, I can give them the record.
Okay. Yeah, I think we'll get started. Jennifer, are you happy with that?
Yeah, absolutely. So Monday the 24th is when I have the first launch event for the COIL project on my calendar. And I put a little link in here in the chat if you see. I hope you all will be able to see it, of an article I was reading this morning in the New York Times about Ireland's restaurants and bars must close early amid rising virus cases. So apparently you all had over 7,000 cases.
Yeah, it's
Saturday.
Exponential growth at the moment, Jennifer. That's the way the numbers seem to be going. The ICU casualty hasn't, thankfully, but there's caution in the wind. So they've cut the closing time to 8 o'clock. And that could even go further. We don't know. It's changing by the day. So they're concerned maybe in about 2 or 3 weeks it'll be at its peak. So vaccination and boosters is now the order of the day as well.
Yes. Yes. And I also was reading in the Edelman Trust Barometer some interesting information about trust in government and businesses and the way that trust has been affected by the pandemic. So in the way that people have handled it. So there's, we lost him.
He'll rejoin again in a moment.
Okay.
Can we will we just check, does everyone know, well, most of you hopefully know me at this stage. So my name's Rita Day. I'm the Academic Director for Business Law and Marketing. And I'm joined by my colleague, Jennifer, who is over in New York. So if you want to introduce yourself, Jennifer.
Yes, I'm Jennifer Robinette, and I teach communication and public relations classes at Marist College in New York. We're about 80 miles from the city, and we actually had a cluster of 11 students who had been vaccinated and boosted during the last week of classes, all got Omicron COVID. So it's here. It's here, and it's really the cases are starting to tick up, no matter if you've been vaccinated and boosted or not. That's the thing. So now we have to go back to the measures that we were using before that people got so tired of. And so just when I feared that, our project is going to lose relevance, unfortunately, which, kind of would be a good thing. So it's staying relevant. There's so many things that we need to figure out how to do better, I think.
Absolutely. And just by way of context, does everyone know what the COIL project is all about, or do you have any ideas, Julie?
I was hoping I'd find out what it was about tonight. I've been tied up with work and college.
Okay, I'm not sure because I went into a couple of John. That's okay. I went into a couple of John's classes, and I'm not sure which students are there from John's classes.
Yeah, so myself and Ray are here from John's, but I don't know.
Oh, no problem at all. It was just to check in case I repeat myself, which I'll probably do anyway. So COIL is Collaborative Online International Learning, so COIL project. So Jennifer and I ran a project last year on COIL with Marist College in New York, and it was a very successful project. I'm hasten to add, Jennifer, not being too modest, but it was a successful project on the public health crisis. And so I might just share a couple of documents just to kind of give it a bit of context. And then Jennifer, if you want to just jump in whenever you can and see what you think.
Sure, yeah. The great thing about this, and this is something I've taught crisis communication many times before, but I had never incorporated anything like an international component. And so last year I proposed this project because I thought, oh, once in a lifetime chance, to study crisis communication during a global pandemic, which unfortunately has turned out to not be a once in a lifetime chance. We still have the chance to do more. So our project was really cool because, students couldn't travel internationally. And what we were able to do was set up things where you could post what you were seeing over there about COVID communication. Students over here could post what they were seeing about COVID communication. And so you could see what was going on in each other's countries. And I think that was probably the coolest part of it.
Yeah. And so Jennifer set up Padlet. That was the platform that we used. And this is just the sample that we used last year. So essentially what we're doing is we're looking to replicate the project again this year in semester 2. But make it even better as you do. So go one step further, make it even better this time. So same topic, same hosts, DBS and Marist College, obviously different group of students, but essentially the same sort of format from it. So it was a Padlet board. We started off with a scavenger hunt online just to see what information was out there in the US and what we had here in Ireland. And it was really interesting, wasn't it, just to kind of see. And as you we were talking the last time, Jennifer, about the vaccination rollout and things like that and the difference between the two countries.
Yeah, so if you click on the scavenger hunt Padlet link there,
really
it'll bring it up. It should bring it up. If you click on the scavenger hunt Padlet there, it should bring it up and show you. No, it's the one right below it.
It's my internet's very, very slow.
Oh, I see.
This
It's
one?
trying to go. Oh,
Yeah, it's trying to connect.
Yep,
There
it
we
is.
go.
There it goes. Okay.
Okay, it's still connecting.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can see that.
So we would love to figure out, how this could be extremely beneficial for all of you in terms of projects that you would like to work on to be able to talk about in job interviews and have artifacts of this is work that we've done. And then it can be, just something that you're personally interested in as well. But last year, after the scavenger hunt and various other things, we focused on like creative ideas for campaigns, public health campaigns to address COVID on both sides of the pond, as they say. But so we're meeting today to brainstorm new ideas.
Yeah, and these are some of the examples, aren't they, that the participants came up with. So these are really nice participants' postings. So that was Padlet. That was the scavenger hunt that we did. What else did we do? We also did, if it's going to connect for me,
our Ask the Experts event, which is what I first met John for. That was really the most worthwhile event I think I've ever had in any of my classes. Mary Gleason from the Health Service Executive, who's directs the media relations for them, she was fantastic. John was fantastic. We had a creative advertising colleague of mine, and students could ask questions of all the different experts after they presented some very worthwhile content. And we have a video of that too that's available.
Yeah. Can you see my screen okay there with Mary on the screen?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I can
you
see
can.
that. Yeah.
So, yes. So as you can see there, we had Mary Gleason from the HSE. We had our very own John Noble presenting from our side. And we also had from the Maris side, Joanna, who presented from the Maris side. So it was a really nice mix, wasn't it, of faculty from Maris, from DBS, and then our HSE representative as well. So that was great. It was a great event. There was an opportunity to kind of consolidate, I suppose, all of the learnings and all of the postings, and to have someone from the HSE available to talk to us was great as well. So yeah, so they were the two main projects, the Ask the Expert event, and then the scavenger hunt we did to start off with. Loads of postings. Jennifer, was there anything else you wanted to mention about the Padlet board?
I think those two things were really the most worthwhile things that we did. And so what we're in search of today are ideas for the final things. So what we did before was students posted, like the teams got together and videoed a brief presentation. They just put together a PowerPoint with their creative ideas and posted them. And then we didn't have time for every team to present, but we had Rita and Michael Keelty and myself. We asked questions, and then did we have anybody else? I think that was just three of us asking questions, wasn't it? I can't remember. Of all the teams and about their ideas. So, maybe Joanna joined us for that. But there are so many other things that we could focus on. For instance, misinformation. How do you overcome misinformation on social media? I know that the HSE has tried to focus on that, and they've made great strides. An honor student of mine just did a case study on the HSE and their Yellow campaign, and the poster presentation was great. But she did an hour-long interview with the head of their programs and campaigns, Fidelma Brown, at the HSE. So I'm hoping to recruit her for our next Ask the Experts event. And the data that they provided to my honor student, Jenna, was just incredible, documenting their outcomes. So trust has actually grown in the HSE over the course of the pandemic. They've made some strides, but obviously with the vaccine resistance that we're seeing on both sides of the pond, misinformation continues to have quite a stronghold, I think. And so there's that. There's inequity in the population to first get the vaccines across the world. All kinds of different things that we could look into.
Yeah, I think one of the interesting things I was saying the last time was Liam Neeson's campaign. Do you remember that? Give a vaccine, get a vaccine, give a vaccine, and trying to bring in some of that sort of publicity too as well. And such a rollout, to roll out to try and encourage the vaccine here as well. Obviously, as we mentioned, with some of the scary numbers at the weekend as well.
And I was going to get my hair done at a salon out there. You can't tell now, but that out where he lives has a house anyway in Millbrook, and apparently his kids used to get their hair cut there at the Fox and the Hare.
Okay.
I thought I'd bring that information back. I did not run into him. But.
So other things that we did or ways to improve, we were also looking at digital badges. We got some of the graphics completed for those last year. We exchanged some swag, t-shirts and pens and things like that. But it was really just a great event for participation, particularly last year because of the lockdown that we had, and it was an opportunity to work collaboratively with an international group of students. So the teams are mixed, so we try and have equity in them. So we're approximately the same numbers per group. The number of groups depends on how many students that we have to participate in it. but it's I think the feedback was really good from it, and it's not too onerous. It's kind of a it can be quite a fun sort of not even an assessment, just an activity really to be involved in as well. So maybe if there's any questions, Lee, Patrick, or Anna, if you have any questions about the project.
Also, I noticed a few other names. Lek from Cork has joined us.
Great.
He's one of our students in contemporary marketing communications, along with Patrick as well. Eva Castillo is one of our students from Germany on the digital content and media tools, and she shares a class with the Morris students too. So it's good to see Eva that's joined us as well. So and Anna, of course, Korea. Anna, which subject? I just remember all the students now. Which subject are we talking about, Anna?
Digital marketing concepts.
Digital marketing concepts. So it's a lovely mix of different modules here, with students who are, I have to say, very busy at this time of year, some of them with exams, but they'll be finishing very shortly. So they'll be able to breathe a little bit. And I wanted to give them a sense of this project and tell them, as you said there earlier on, Rita, that it's something very good to have on the CV. It's a good bit of fun. It's a good bit of experience and collaborative work. And it's not overtaxing. Am I right in saying that, Rita? Just from a point of view of start to finish, and perhaps maybe with a module they're doing, that there might be an opportunity to do something with, share that this topic is an assignment. It's not necessarily the case, but there might be, depending on the subject. Yeah.
So, absolutely, and if we can combine it with an assignment, even better. Because it works really well. Then the fact that you're contributing to your assignment, and also it's something that's really enjoyable. Not that assignments are not enjoyable, but it can be. It can be really helpful as well. And you can see there, they're just blog posts and they're just postings and a little bit of fact finding and working in teams. So nothing that you wouldn't be unfamiliar with. You're doing it every day anyway in class. So, yeah. Jennifer, is there anything that you wanted to add about it?
I'm just really interested in hearing any ideas, things you would like to do, things you've seen in other classes that you think would be useful for this project. What's on your mind? What would be motivational? Are digital badges useful to you? What could we do to make this a real asset?
Lek, what do you think? Lek from Cork. Lek, can you hear me?
I have quite a few DNA relatives who are from Cork, apparently, according to 23andMe, by the way. So.
Cork is often seen as the capital of Ireland, and of course we have a Cork leader, a joint leader. Well, he's sharing a 4-year term with our other leader, Leo Varadkar. So you have a strong Corkonian. Lek, I'm not sure if maybe Lek's tuned in a little late to tonight. Do not have any audio at the moment. Okay, so that wasn't a good choice. Patrick, are you do you get the project? What it's about, Patrick?
I do. Yeah. I do understand what it's about.
Yeah, and we all know the situation at the moment with the COVID. You were talking there about misinformation. Seemingly, the government announced that they're not closing Ireland down for Christmas, even though social media would lead you to believe that. So we're probably going through a very interesting period in this whole COVID scenario, because we've had the benefit of a year and, as you said, built up quite a lot of trust. But at the same time, I think there is an impatience happening with people at the moment, and therefore, and a little bit of the fear factor if you don't get this extra booster. That's, to me, is probably one of the things which is getting an awful lot of engagement at the moment, Jennifer, in Ireland. There's a lot of compliance still happening where we seem to be very good at complying for the moment. But I'm not sure how long that's going to last for. Patrick, what do you think?
It's very interesting you mentioned the booster. I went for my booster yesterday morning at about 7:30, and there was approximately 100 people ahead of me. But by the time I finished, there was over 1,000 people behind me.
Good God. Yeah. Which surprised you that despite people's maybe apprehension to be getting vaccinated, people are still complying, because there's a bit of the fear factor. I think if you don't, this can spread much worse than the Omicron and the Delta and the other ones. So I think it's I think that's probably a sense of the nation at the moment, Jennifer, with the queues that's happening. People want to get boosted before Christmas, so they're a little safer with relatives, I suppose, visiting relatives, and people are saying they're getting their families to do antigen tests before they come over for Christmas, so they're taking no chances, on top of all, even those who have been vaccinated and boosted. Siobhan Hinchy has just joined us too. Sorry, Siobhan, we're here with Jennifer from New York, who's just explained the COIL project. I'm not sure how much you know about it, Siobhan. Do you know anything about it?
No, I don't actually. I'm sorry I wasn't on earlier. I'm actually literally finished vaccinating people, so that's why I was a bit delayed. So no, I don't know anything about it yet. So that's why I was just tuning in now.
Yeah.
Oh, hang on.
Yeah.
I think my sound is gone.
Okay. Yeah.
You can hear me.
Yeah, no, we can still hear you, Siobhan. So we're just talking about the COIL project. It's just an opportunity to get involved in. The theme of it, Jennifer, is going to be what? Is the same as last year? Is there any modification on that, or?
We can make it whatever we want. The spring semester hasn't started yet, so we can literally tailor it to whatever we want for the spring. Obviously, the global pandemic still presents quite an opportunity, and crisis communication is the class that I'm teaching and using the COIL project in. So, we could go in any direction we would like with it.
Yeah, and maybe that's something, Rita, that could be agreed on in early January when we're next together. Would that be so we can reflect on what's going to happen over the next 3 or 4 weeks? Because I think a lot's going to happen, and it might set up a very nice theme for us to do that kind of engagement online research with our colleagues in Marist and around the country in Ireland, because we have quite a nice mixture of students in different parts of Ireland on the platform here tonight, which gives us really a good sense of what is happening and how people are reacting or feeling, particularly come 4 weeks' time.
Yeah, I think it'd be really interesting, especially when we ran it last year. Just for context for Siobhan, we ran the COIL project last year, which was a virtual exchange of students, and we used the theme of the public health crisis. And I think you hit on it, John, the fact that it was still relatively new back then, a year ago, and we were finding postings and information from the media that would be relevant and comparing it with the US and with Ireland. And now a year later, what's obviously the new variant is the dominant, and we're looking at the vaccinations and what else is around the corner, I suppose. And we had the news of the weekend about the Netherlands going into lockdown. So it's really interesting maybe how it's evolved a year later, but we're still here. But it's the same. I suppose I think one of the key things that we did was the Ask the Expert event, and I think that worked really well. To have for both sides, and most of it was quite fun. As I said, it wasn't a heavy project. It was just quite light-hearted, really. And if we can embed that into the assignments, even better.
Yeah. There will be different assignments based on different modules by students. So I guess come January we'll have to have a look and see, is there opportunities to embed or to integrate this project into maybe one of those assignments. So maybe we'll take a call on that maybe in January. I think that's probably probably the guidance on that. Although this is something extra, as you mentioned, Jennifer, you can get a digital badge for this engagement. And there's a lot of very keen students on the platform here. I certainly know them, from in person from the class. Some of them have been on the DBS course in the past as well. So we have, a really good committed cohort here, and probably another half a dozen students as well to join us for maybe the first get together, and maybe that if that's the way to move this for early January. What time, Jan? Is it 22nd? Rita, would that be a kind of timeline to aim for to regroup, if that's the word?
So our COIL launch would be like a week after the first week of classes. I think we start at the same time this year, which will be helpful, because last year our start was delayed by like a month to February. So that was really made it very challenging because we're at different points in the semester for your students and our Marist students. So that made it a challenge. But so it's Monday the 24th is what I have currently for that, and it would be 2 p.m. our time, 7 p.m. your time. That's another thing. Getting everyone together can be tough and finding a time, but that would be the launch event. And then I think the thing I charted out was like 2 weeks in between each thing.
Right.
So the January 24th Monday at 7, which is a Monday, and then 2 weeks later.
2 weeks from that.
Yeah. So we're like, it gives the students 2 weeks to like develop questions for the experts, post things on Padlet, whatever the task is for the next couple of weeks. And the whole thing takes 7 weeks and ends right before our spring break, which we always end before St. Patrick's Day. So
I think that was one of the things we did last year, wasn't it? We pulled it back a little bit. I think it was longer, so we pulled it back just to 7 weeks.
7 weeks instead of
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. I think I think the students will have some students may have a class on in the evening time, but I think if maybe if the lecturer involved, and this is something, Rita, maybe we could think about, if we could all kind of get access to the meeting for 15 minutes or something, at least it gives everybody an opportunity just to dial into this, and even those that may not be participating, at least they can listen. It won't eat out an awful lot of a class for its importance, because it just might be difficult to find the ideal time with every student. I know there's classes start from 6:15 till 7:45, so 15 minutes I would say might be a really good opportunity time to if they overlap, to do that. That's just a bit of an admin solution, I think, to when that happens. But I think if maybe to share, if I certainly can share with the students, the time it's going to start, and just give them a sense of the 8 week, maybe a short document or something like a 1-pager. That might be useful, because there's always a fear of the students not knowing exactly what they're getting involved with. But as I was saying, there's not a lot to this, just small little contributions, and I think it'll be a lot of fun.
little chunks, maybe 2 or 3 synchronous events, like total. So I just put in the chat an outline that I put together of a proposed project timeline. So you can see there, I know it might be hard for you to see, John, if you're on your phone.
I can see it there. Yeah, I got it. Yeah.
Good. Okay. Yep. So, maybe you're on a laptop in your car.
I'm on the laptop using using the hotspot on my Vodafone mobile. Sorry, that's the operator. Vodafone's a great operator when you're out and about. I just copied and pasted it
from something I'd sent before when I was first putting together the idea for spring. So I don't know if that gives you something to work with there in terms of timeline. so we're not starting the first week of classes, but it would be the beginning of the second week of classes. And then 2 weeks in between each synchronous meeting, total of 3 synchronous Zooms, which would start at 7 your time and would last maybe like an hour. We have 75-minute classes, so an hour and 15 minutes is how long it would take. The first synchronous Zoom event is for team formation. So last year we did a really fun thing where we had everyone choose I set up rooms in Zoom and had you choose. I named them after different places all around the world where you would go if you could travel. Right, the first place you would want to go, and then students went into those rooms and just kind of mingled and talked with one another. The Irish students and the American students, and that's how we formed teams. And so we had the Australian team, the France team. I forget all the places that we had, but it was a cool way to do it, just to find people with common interests, I guess, and get to know each other. And then the second event was the Ask the Experts event, and then the third event is just the final whatever project the students decide to work on and present, or however we decide to do it, would be the final one. And that one would be March 7th or 10th.
And how many groups, Jennifer, do you anticipate, or are we looking to secure, like groups of 4? Is it, or groups of 6?
I think we did last time. We had almost 30 students in my class, and so we did teams of like 3 students from Marist and 2 from DBS, and so that's roughly how we tried to structure it. That was the goal. Now, not every team, because you were able to just like pick who you wanted to work with based on getting to know the students in that one event. It didn't necessarily work out exactly that way, but everybody seemed to be happy with the teams that they chose. So let's see. So there was, right now I think I have 24 students this spring. So I have just slightly fewer in the crisis comm class, but that could change during ad drop week. Sometimes more students will add, but it'll be somewhere between 25 and 30 students for sure. So break that down to 3 students from our side. So that ends up in I think 9 or 10 teams.
Yeah, that's good. That's a good number. Yeah, all considered. Yeah, and I think maybe by beginning of January we'll have another maybe half a dozen or maybe more students, maybe 10 that might join the students here, just to consider that for that type of collaboration. So that will be similar numbers to maybe, just as you say, maybe slightly under last year, but not too far off. Yeah, I think it's just purely because of the distraction of Christmas and exams. That's why students are they're literally submitting assignments, so it's not on their radar at the moment, just 100%. So can give it another push in the early part of the new year, and then try to get everybody together for that first meeting then. Is that when the groups are formed, at the first meeting?
Yes.
Yeah,
that's when they would be formed.
Yeah.
So no, I'm actually really impressed at the turnout, given the timing for the semester there. And I don't think I could get any Marist students to do anything like this right now. They're all gone. Finals week ended last Friday, so this is quite impressive, actually.
We're so used to working online now, Jennifer. It's just this second nature. If we were in the college, it may not have happened. But there's a convenience factor too. But you're right, everybody's is trying to squeeze different things in as well. So yeah, I thank all the students for coming out here tonight to listen to Jennifer and Rita. That's great, and I tried to encourage as many to really come to the. We'll post the date in advance to the first meeting. They won't know their schedules till maybe they do, but they'll become more familiar with their schedules when we return to college. In the roughly it's around the 11th for a lot of students, around that week of the 11th. There's exams in the first week for some students, and then the rest come back week 2. So we'll be just getting familiar. So I think a reminder then would be important.
No, absolutely. I think we'll do that. We'll send out a reminder, maybe that one pager as well. That might be helpful just to have. And yes, just to echo John and Jennifer, just to thank everyone for coming along this evening. It is going to be, it is recorded, John, and it will be on your Moodle page, so that's great as well.
Yeah, I'll put up a couple of different the same version on the different modules. So keep an eye out for that over the next week. Eva, can you hear me from Germany? Eva? Just checking if Eva can.
Judd?
Yeah, hi Eva. How are you?
From Germany. No, I'm Spanish. From the marketing management.
Oh yeah, I beg your pardon. I've got myself mixed up.
No worries. I was confused. Like maybe it's another Eva.
Oh no, very good, very good. Where are you at the moment, Eva?
Yeah, here in Dublin. I'm gonna spend Christmas here. Yeah.
Okay, great. I know at the start of the pandemic, everybody was certainly Brazil was one of the countries that was very highlighted because of the I think it was a combination of the prime minister was a little complacent at the start. I'm not trying to blame, but that seemed to be something happening. What's it like there now, Eva?
Where in Spain?
In Spain.
Yeah. Spain. Yeah. Well, no, I don't know. Things look like normal. Like it's not locked down, as I know. But the cases are rising really high. Like once I was there in summer, it looks like it was no virus. Everything was open. No one wore mask. But then when the restrictions comes, it's just a lockdown, and it's like literally you cannot leave your place because it's like military people work on the street and the police. Yeah, very strict. But no, not at the moment.
Like a curfew, a curfew.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But still normal at the moment. I don't know. Probably will explode, I think, because it's crazy.
So we could, Jennifer, have a Spanish room as well.
I think one of them may have been, but I can't imagine how Americans would react if military people were on the street during a lockdown situation to keep people on the streets. They would lose their minds. So that's one of the most fascinating things was to see, what seemed to be okay. And we did see, as you can see on the Padlet, we had students participating, not just in Ireland and America, but in lots of other several other European countries as well. So it's quite interesting to see the different ways that communication is handled and trying to motivate people in different cultures to do things that protect everyone is really tough. It's really tough to do. You have to really quite understand from the inside out how to motivate people, what people value, and I think that's valuable understanding that students can get from participating in this project is that how differently, if you do global PR marketing in the future, how to best go about getting to know another culture to determine what would work there in terms of campaigns. So I think it's valuable for that reason too.
Yeah, they tried to close the pubs, Jennifer, at 5 o'clock in Ireland, but the politicians were not having anything of that. Those that represent the constituencies, so they pushed it back to 8. I think maybe they had 8 in mind all along. They were just been very tactful about how they'd try to get pubs to close at 8 o'clock over the busiest time of the year. So it's very interesting watching all these different adjustments by different countries take place. So
in that New York Times article, I noticed they mentioned some, I bet, very powerful lobbying groups over there who had a hand in pushing it back to 8. The Restaurants Association of Ireland is one, the Licensed Vintners Association, all of those with the common, economic interests got together. I used to be a lobbyist years ago, so I understand how this kind of thing works, and I'm sure that there was, quite a bit of pressure coming from the business owners and trade association members that these lobbyists represented to try to say, you just can't do this again. And I agree with you. There's probably, you ask for way more than you want when you try to negotiate. That's
manage expectations. Lee, what do you think? Just you always have an interesting view on things. Do you want to make a comment on any of what you've heard?
I'm looking forward to it. I'm particularly interested in kind of combating misinformation and just understanding how kind of people get drawn into it. And how you can kind of reach them with logic and stuff like that. That's kind of my interest in the whole thing at the moment. Just because I have friends who are completely on the other side of like, this is all like, a global conspiracy, and I'm just like, I obviously want to be their friends. So, I'd like to understand how they think like that and how I can bring them over to a decent way of thinking, I suppose.
Logical
Yeah.
way. So, and people in healthcare, so my mom is 83 and she's had a lot of health problems. She has had home health people coming in, and she had one fella telling her that he wasn't going to be vaccinated. None of his family members would be. He genuinely believed that the vaccines had been released by the American government to kill people, and told her, my mother, that the vaccine was killing more people than COVID. And so then it's a matter of, how do we get this person to stop coming to my mother's home? So you call the home health people and they say, we can't even ask them their vaccination status, right? Because that's illegal. You can't do that. So my mom finally just said, because I volunteered to be the bad person because I live 700 miles away, and she didn't want to upset anyone there, because we have family friends who also believe similar things, and what we don't understand how they've come to believe that way. The fact that you can still be friends and have a good relationship with them is challenging enough, right? Much less, how do you convince them otherwise?
Yeah, that's the big challenge. All right, that's as Lee was putting it. That's the conspirators are always there, and always will be. That's just the way it is. So they take advantage as well. So you have to try to, how do you filter out, content that's absolutely, rubbish, if you want to just be direct with it, and have good content, which, that's what we all want: reliable, trust sources. Which social media can play its role too, but it's how do you go about doing it. So really interesting. It'll be interesting to see what we gather over the period of the research.
The HSE's Yellow campaign that they launched on social media, and a lot of things that they've been doing on social media, I would love to share with you all my honor students project, because her case study of what they had done, it was really quite interesting. They did a good job, better than Americans, better than the CDC for sure, in establishing themselves as the trusted source of information about coronavirus. But there are always going to be pockets of people that doesn't reach either. So you've got that challenge. But the conspiracists, they have a much easier job than people who are trying to battle them. All they have to do is sow doubt, which is so much easier, right, than convincing people of what is fully true. All they have to do is make people doubt it and doubt the source of information, and then that's enough.
The two words come into mind there: fake news. We've heard a lot of people talk about fake news. We won't point fingers at anyone. Every government is producing fake news, so to sell papers, to whatever, monetize in some way. So it is a challenge. There is, funny enough, there's a guy called Mark Little. He used to be the presenter of national television in Ireland about 20 years ago, and he became vice president of Twitter, and he had a very successful company called Storyful, and he sold that for many millions. But he's now involved in a company called Kinzen, Kinzen, and he's hoping that's going to be the equivalent of Netflix for genuine, reliable information sources, whatever topic of interest you're interested in. So if you're interested in politics and sports, they will have thousands of people working on genuine content. How that's going to be sold at the start, we wait to see. And he's building this company up at the moment to be a serious player in media. However, some people say it's a little bit, wasn't he in RTE for a long time? So the conspiracists get him in that side as well, saying now when it suits, so it is interesting to follow that particular guy, Mark Little, in the context of, what he is trying to do. So that's another thought for us to maybe ponder upon. But I think, Lee, you're right. It's persuading your friends to come over the other side. That's a big challenge. Yeah.
It used to be that friends and family were the most trusted source of information. That was just known. It was more effective than any advertisement or anything, and so that's why social media became so powerful. But now there's like a division, and it's which friends and family do you believe, right? So.
Yeah, I know. Different members with strong opinions, and and some people can be very influential because of their natural communication skills as well. So you have that to contend with too. But so Siobhan, you have the idea of what we're talking about. Just to say,
so I might look back over the video again, just for the bit that I missed at the start anyway.
Sounds interesting. Yeah, exactly, and I think it's just nice opportunity to get collaborative with international students and share and exchange, what their views and their opinions and vice versa of what we're experiencing. So. As I think by 4 weeks' time, I think a lot of things might be different. Who knows now with this Omicron, which is hitting. Yeah, I think it will be. You're right, Siobhan. It's hitting like a tidal wave. That's certainly what we're hearing. And listening to Varadkar this morning saying, this is going to be huge. So he doesn't tend to mince his words too much. So we'll wait and see.
And you would have so much to contribute. You're on the front lines, obviously. Right? Exactly. What I would love to see is just a list of things you hear from people all day long when you're giving them the vaccine. Like, I wasn't going to get it, or just like what is going through their minds. I bet you hear some super interesting things.
Yeah, and actually, I work across a couple of sites as well. I work in a GP practice and I work in a hospital, so I kind of get to see a lot of people with a lot of different perspectives of it. And certainly you even see the cultural divide between, say, the more Eastern European patients and the more, how should I put it, more multi-generational Irish is probably a better phrase, people as well. So there's quite a difference in terms of the cultures and their approaches and attitudes and stuff. So you do get a kind of a broad overview of it.
Yeah.
So, how do you want to wrap this up, John?
Well, maybe as Rita said, we'll make the recording available. Number one, and I think, as Rita said, a one-pager would be good to have to share with the students in maybe the new year. When college is starting back, roughly about week 2, and to tee up the first meeting that will take place and try to get as many people to that meeting, and then they can make their final decision to be involved or not, just to keep it there. There'll be other students to join us as well, and hopefully it then moves forward. I think the challenge will be just to get students to have even to come into some of that 1.5 hour beginning, because time might be at the essence if they've lectures. That's all.
Okay, gotcha. I put that on my to-do list, the one-pager. I'll put that together, and I have last year's to work with as a starting point. So, and I'll just, I'm going to simplify it and streamline it and
that
come
would
up
be
with
good.
fresh Padlet boards that I'll link to that are blank for us. So we'll have just like a blank slate we can start with.
Yeah, and I think the thing is for the students to be aware they can contribute to this even when they're not in their groups, as they experience things and you think of things, at the end of the week or the end of the day to go back in. So it can be that type of process. And then obviously we get together for then the discussion pieces at those key meetings when they take place. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very much asynchronous. So, on your own timeline, whenever's best for you, you can contribute to the Padlets and the questions for the experts and that kind of thing. And it's just those three, which I was saying Monday. My class meets on Monday and Thursday at 2, right? So it could be a Monday or a Thursday, but I think Monday might work better potentially. But that is also something that we could look at.
Okay, yep, that'd be great. Well, maybe Rita, you could make the final call on that in the new year, pending on our timetable, or if there's one preference over the other. But I think even if there is an overlap, if the students come on in part, that would be important. It's at least we facilitate their timetable to some point. Yeah, that might be the best way. Sorry, Rita, your mic is just gone a bit. Oh, that's better. Yeah. No, your mic is gone dead.
Can't hear you.
Yeah.
Thanks, John, for facilitating this afternoon.
No, you're back. You're back now. We have you back. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks, Amelia, and thanks everyone for coming along this afternoon as well. It's much appreciated.
It's really great to meet you all and see you. I love that, being able to see people from all over the world. That really is so cool to me. Since we can't really travel so much very easily anymore.
Yeah, no. Technology is great for situations, and for many situations such as this. It's amazing to think we can have this conversation. So sometimes we have to kind of acknowledge the pluses that technology does provide in this new contemporary age, which Patrick knows all about, because we talk about the contemporary consumer, which we've been working on for a good while for the last couple of months. We have to think how they think. That's what we keep talking about. And they want it now. They're instant, immediate, no patience. So we have to facilitate all generations. As we said, the 21st century consumer is not just the young consumer; it's all consumers, all ages too. Am I right, Patrick, in saying that just before we finish?
Yes, it's from all generations.
Yeah,
baby boomers, Gen Zs, everything, millennials.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and thankfully people living longer, so a few silent generations in there too. Okay, that's all I have to say. Rita and Jennifer, thanks for all the students coming on here, and those who will listen back who haven't been here, just to acknowledge them on the line as well. And we hope to see those maybe the third week on that Monday or Thursday, whatever final day Rita decides on for everybody.
Okay, and thank you everyone, and happy holidays. Have a nice break as well. Enjoy Christmas.
Yeah, absolutely. One more class tonight. That's it, Rita, for me.
Excellent.
Okay.
All done, but the grading here. So
Yeah.
Hunkering down for lots of grading. So, but yeah, happy holidays to everybody.
Yeah.
Bye.
Okay. See everyone. Thank you. Thanks, Jennifer.
Thank you. Happy Christmas.
Yep. Happy Christmas. Bye bye. Thank you. Bye bye.